Hello guys, and as always, welcome back to the best podcast in Africa, Basketball Report. So, today is actually a special day, because today we're going to talk about a thing, or a subject, subject we have discussed for
basically 2 years now.
Almost. 2 years. So, what happened? Let's just give backstory. So let's just say it's going to be about the Lakers trade to get AD.
Yeah.
You know, me and Christian, we have talked about.
We've looked at this from every angle.
Every angle.
We've looked into the future 2 years ago, and we're reflecting back now, but we're still looking into the future. And there's a lot of pieces in this trade. A lot of things that could have happened.
Moving parts. Let's just say.
Yeah. And at this stage,
So what we said.
It's time to reflect now.
Yeah, so what we said is, yes, let's go back to the when LeBron joined Lakers. That season,
2008.
They were shit.
Yeah, they were.
Why were they shit?
They didn't even improve.
They haven't had. My personal opinion is LeBron didn't lead the team as he should have. He had the players. They were still a bit young. But, he could have improved on he has a lot of experience, and just he needs to use his leadership and, take them to the next step. What did the Lakers do? LeBron maybe went and complained and said, I'm going to leave the Lakers if you don't get me another big player.
Because I do think this trade does revolve solely around LeBron James, and
solely.
At that stage, the Lakers they thought they put the pieces back in together after, Kobe retired. They're struggling, they got high picks, they got good young assets, and, they thought getting LeBron into the team will do the thing, but it didn't. LeBron didn't step up, LeBron didn't lead the team, and at that stage, I think the Lakers fans look at this and, he's going to leave. And
also LeBron's perspective, he went and said, I need to try and, I went to the Lakers for a legacy. That's why he went to the Lakers.
And also looking at his age, there were moves to be made. Yeah. They couldn't have waited 3 to 4 years for Ingram or, Lonzo to develop. LeBron's age, it doesn't work. It didn't work well. Thinking back, LeBron wasn't a good fit on the Lakers in the initial part. There was the whole stigma, he's playing with Jordan's number at Kobe's team. It's all nice, it's all poetic. But at the end of the day, for me, that wasn't the best move for LeBron, I would say. And that wasn't the best move for the Lakers, because then they had the issue, are we going to start Kuzma or are we going to start Ingram? Because LeBron is small forward, Ingram doesn't want to play center, Kuzma doesn't want to play center. They can't play shooting guard, and that was the issue. And at the end of the day, they favoured Kuzma. And, looking back at it now, they kept the wrong player.
No, yeah, definitely. And we said, yes, the trade that they made, yes, they're gonna maybe win one ring. And they did. Last year they did.
But are they going to win again?
Are they going to win? Highly unlikely.
The big thing is, looking at the trade, it was Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart, and 3 first overall picks. And one of those picks was a 4th overall pick that was eventually traded away to the Hawks. So basically the trade at this stage was Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart and DeAndre Hunter. And that's a good young core. That's a decent young core. And the other thing that Lambert and I have been looking at, the problem is Anthony Davis only had a year left on his contract. And the Lakers had cap space. Even when they had AD, they pursued Kawhi. So they had the money to go out and get another player. So for me, looking back at this trade, could they have waited just another season? Could they have maybe, Brandon Ingram was an all-star last season. What if they
just waited
and, they still had LeBron? Ingram was an all-star. Lonzo was doing what Lonzo does. Josh Hart was Josh Hart. And now, into this season, you have the cap space. And, all of a sudden,
now you have a lot
Anthony
of options.
Davis is open.
Yeah.
So you can pursue him. But at this stage, the Lakers are in a bit of a difficult situation as their salary cap is at 134 million.
So they're
And
over.
they are over the luxury tax.
Now there's all the speculation. Now they're looking for this player, that player, because they waived one of their players that I don't even know. But they're still,
There's no money.
No money left.
They signed Anthony Davis to a 190 million contract for 5 years. And that is something they should have done this season. In free agency. And I also know Brandon Ingram signed a 160 million 5-year contract. But the thing is, they had the cap space. So essentially, they could have had LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Brandon Ingram on the roster and pushed themselves into the luxury tax. Because what happens if LeBron James retires? What happens if, let's say for example, LeBron James the next game he gets an ACL injury, and
Well, what happens if AD, like what happened?
AD is struggling. That's the other thing. AD has always struggled with injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the games he's played, he never played a full season. The most games he's played in a season was 75 games. I mean, that's only 7 short, so, but he only did that twice. Apart from that, it's always been in the 60s or, high 50s. So, he's not really a reliable player. And I also know that, Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, at this stage when they wanted to trade the players, they weren't the best players. They didn't look too good. At that stage, Kuzma was better.
Yeah, but let's just quickly talk about Brandon Ingram. He's averaging this season 24.2 points per game. LeBron is averaging 25.2. I think so.
80 is
80,
on 22.5. So Brandon Ingram is averaging much higher than they both.
Brandon Ingram shoot better than 80. He's definitely a shooter.
I mean, this guy's a scorer.
He's a scorer.
He gets you a bucket.
And that's what the Lakers need, a scorer.
But that's something they need at this moment. I mean,
it's not going to happen if you get the Marcus Cousins or whatever they're talking about. But, yeah.
The only problem is looking at the current state of the LA Lakers.
Yeah, just quickly go through it.
I mean, look, there's not much young talent.
Marcus Gasol is old. He should retire. Jared Dudley is shit. Alex Caruso is irrelevant. Kyle Kuzma, this guy's stagnating for me. He's not doing...
The thing is, he's not developing because they've got AD and LeBron on the roster, and AD doesn't want to play center. So, Kyle Kuzma is not developing. Schroeder is a decent player, but I mean, he's not young anymore and he only signed a 1-year contract. To be honest, Darryl is a great role player, nothing else more.
Davies, Cadwell Pope...
KCP is just terrible.
Terrible.
We already talked about, Kuzma and, Wesley Matthews is old. The thing is, we're looking at this now.
Look at the depth. Let's just quickly compare two teams. Utah against the Lakers. Go and look at their games. Really top heavy at the Lakers. We had Utah really
great
overall team performance. And that's, I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah, the problem going forward for the Lakers is LeBron James isn't getting younger and Anthony Davis is struggling with injuries. What does the future hold for the Lakers?
Let me just say, it's grim. It's grim.
They gave 3 first round picks, to the Pelicans, which one has already been used, and that was the Andre Hunter. And just looking quickly at the Andre Hunter, he's in his 2nd season, and this season the guy's averaging 17.2 points per game.
Let's quickly.
They had that pick. They could have added this player to the roster as well. If he was on the Lakers currently, he would be the 3rd highest scorer.
3rd highest scoring, and he's in his 2nd season.
And he's only in his 2nd season. And I mean, that is with playing with Trae Young, Gallinari, John Collins, and he's putting up 17. Yeah, and Capella as well. So it's not that he's leading the Hawks team. So they could have added that player to the roster as well. And like I said, looking at this roster, there isn't much young talent. What does the future hold? I mean, yes, you can say, okay, well, if LeBron retires, we can build around 80. Well, the issue is salary cap.
I think AD is going to leave if LeBron goes. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, he signed a contract, but
he's still tradable. By all means.
So will they go in the full rebuild? I don't know.
The thing is just let's say LeBron retires. I mean, when will that be? Let's say, I mean, it's difficult to say, but let's say his contract expires at the Lakers and he moves on. Just for an example.
Yeah.
Which player in their right mind is going to look at this roster team and be like, I mean, they've got Anthony Davis, but apart from Anthony Davis, I really don't fancy playing next to Alex Caruso or, giving away minutes to Wesley Matthews. And I know a lot of these players are just on 1-year contracts, but the thing is, it's small 1-year contracts, which isn't going to make a lot of cap space. Next season, the Lakers are still at 120 million on cap space, which is still over the salary cap. So for the next 2 years, they're locked in until LeBron leaves or gets traded
or whatever.
Even if they trade LeBron, but money's still going to be accounted on the books. They are stuck financially, and looking at the team, there isn't picks, there isn't young players. So what realistically is going to happen forward? They're going to have to rely on free agency. What happened the last time they relied on free agency? Nothing, because no one wanted to go to the Lakers after Kobe retired, because the team wasn't good. That's why they got the high picks, and they managed to mess that up. They had D'Angelo Russell, they messed that up. They had Julius Randle, they messed that up. Both of those players are all-stars now.
Yeah.
Both of those players are younger than Anthony Davis as well. Brandon Ingram is an all-star as well. So the last couple of trades they made in, let's say the last 3 years, they traded away 3 all-stars or let 3 all-stars leave for 1 all-star and 1 ring. But is 1 ring really worth it for 10 years of being bad?
Did they just do it for LeBron?
1 ring. I mean, that's the question.
The legacy in brackets. What were they thinking? Did they want to hold one of the night? What's his LeBron's contract? You could get a lot of better guys for that money.
I mean, LeBron James is making 40 million this year. Next year he's making 41 million, and I think in 2023 he's making 44 million. That's money that is stuck on the books. By the time he makes 44 million, he's going to be 39 years of age. And I mean, look, LeBron has been aging pretty well. Let's be honest here. But he's not going to age 44 million well at 40 years of age.
And you can see in this season already, he's dipping a bit. Yeah. You can say what you want to say.
He dipped last
The guy isn't in the MVP conversation. Just going to put it out there. He's dipping.
He's arguably not even top 10.
He's not
saying arguably, just saying, the case is there to be made.
But it isn't there.
I'm not going to make the case, I'm just saying it.
Just want to say this to you. Guys, just hear it. They always use shit stats to let LeBron look good. Sorry, this is off topic.
I mean, this is just... It's the honesty of the media.
So Jared Dudley said, he said, LeBron should be MVP because he's playing every game.
I mean...
but it's Jared Dudley, he's a fucking dud. So, just like...
Steven Adams plays
every
a lot of games. I mean, so does that make Steven Adams the MVP?
Anyway,
I mean, how many games has Steven Adams missed in the last couple of years? I mean, that would be interesting to look at. Because he doesn't miss a lot of games. I mean, and... Steven Adams is the lowest games he's played was 63 and was last year because the season was shortened. Apart from that, his lowest was 70. He's played 4 seasons where he played more than 8
So he
games.
should be the MVP.
So I mean, Stephen
According
Adams
to
was
Jared
MVP.
Dudley. Okay, so what do they do? Realistically, they just going, like you said, just going to have to wait for free agency. I don't know what they're
I'm
going
going to be honest, yeah, and I think this is the best solution looking forward into the future. And this might sound a little bit harsh, but I'm going to say it, trade LeBron when he still has high value.
Yeah.
Because that contract that he has can get you a lot of good players. There's a lot of teams that would
And
take
start
LeBron
rebuilding.
just
If
for
this season doesn't work out for you, don't
80.
wait.
You can get
Trade him.
You can get 2 very, very good players
Definitely.
for LeBron. I mean, you can let's look at the salary. You know, LeBron makes 40 million. You can get 20 million players, and you maybe a first round pick as well, building that capital. Keep 80. You know, he's still on contract. Then build around Anthony Davis. Get a couple of decent guards. I would say sign Schroeder again next season if possible. Keep Harrell on the roster and try to develop Kuzma into a player, and that's about all. You know, that's all they can do at this stage. So the problem is they don't want to go in a rebuild because they don't have picks.
They're going to have.
So they're just gonna make the Pelicans better. So they should just stick to what they got. And
Yeah, because if they.
trade LeBron James, that's going forward. I mean,
At
the
the
ideal
moment,
situation. Yeah.
what do you think about at the moment now?
At the
Where
moment,
do you think they are going like this season?
I mean, I don't think they're gonna trade LeBron. So at this moment, without Anthony Davis, they have been struggling. Without Anthony Davis, they are a subpar Western Conference team. You know, if Anthony Davis didn't play any games this season,
Yeah, they would.
their record would most likely be, you know,
out of the
16 and 16. You know, 14 and 17.
like 7th in
Yeah.
the West, 6th in the West. About
Just
there.
short of playoffs.
Just short, yeah.
And that's the problem. Anthony Davis, he's not Joel Embiid, but at the other end, he's not John Stockton. I mean, Stockton literally played, I don't know how many seasons of 82 games. And he's in between there. The issue is just what happens if he gets an injury. And I know, you know, you can't talk like that, but injuries are prominent in the sport. This stuff happens.
Yeah.
What happens if they lose 80 and LeBron, you know, age is catching up to him? What's gonna happen? Nothing. I mean, nothing's gonna happen.
The Lakers, I don't
And
know.
that's something the Lakers doesn't want to accept because they don't look. They don't want to even think
For
about
the
it.
future, yeah.
But at some point they're gonna have to. I mean, ideally, best case scenario, LeBron is still decent in his last season. Mutually agrees to leave. They still have Anthony Davis by that time. He's 29 years old. Let's say 30. So you know he's still got a couple of good years left in him. That money they have opened from LeBron, another free agent steps up. You know, I want to play with Anthony Davis, and we're all good. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, AD struggles with injuries, LeBron declines age-wise, both of them miss a lot of games, there's no one really to step up, all of a sudden they're missing playoffs, they're in a rebuild, and they have no picks, no young talent, but eventually they will create cap space, but even then...
You're looking here at the Knicks.
Yeah. But
This is going to be the Knicks in 5
I
years'
don't
time.
even know if it's Knicks, because the Knicks didn't really have issues with contracts. That's the thing. If AD and LeBron now, you know, stagnate and struggles, they're sitting with what 80 to 90 million on their books for the next 3 to 5 years.
No, nothing. They can do nothing about.
You can't even get free agents. I mean, being a big market team, it's not gonna happen because you've got no money to give to players. You've got no picks.
They're going to be where they started before they got LeBron.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be just where they were when they just lost Kobe, and that would be D'Angelo Russell before he was good, and Swaggy P.
If it's saying
Nick
let's
Young.
be honest and say he's just a meme.
Yeah.
So
Ideally, what could have been the Lakers? The Lakers could have been a team which started off with D'Angelo Russell at point guard, Lonzo Ball coming, to replace him from the bench.
Yeah, 6 man.
At shooting guard, they could have had, Brandon Ingram, for example, if he wanted to play shooting guard.
Rondo still.
Yeah, that Rondo. Let's say, for example, Josh Hart. They could have had Brandon Ingram, either small forward or shooting guard. Could have had Julius Randle at power forward. He's an all-star now. And shooting guard could have been DeAndre Hunter. Out there. And then center, there's not much center could have been. Except for JaVale. But the thing is, they had Wagner as well. And let's not forget, they also released Brook Lopez a few years back. And now Brook Lopez is an essential part
of the Bucks.
But the Bucks didn't even give a lot of money to Brook Lopez. They could have just signed Brook Lopez, they could have stretched. Julius Randle can hit the free ball. We all know Russell has ice in his veins. Ingram can shoot. Lopez can shoot. They could have had a fantastic young team, and most of these players are now just eligible for their contract extensions, and they're still restricted free agents, which means that you decide where they go. The options were limitless, and they still could have had Kuzma coming up from a bench. And looking at that team, they still would have had the money to sign LeBron.
No.
Because the cap space is 110. Those players were still mostly on their rookie contracts. So the sky was the limit, but now, we're back up.
Let's just say this blunt, they're in the shit at the moment.
There is potential for them to really, really be bad. But at the other end, there is potential.
If they make smart moves at upper management, the GM, the coaches.
I don't really rate Frank Vogel at all.
Yeah, but let's just put it out there, But so it's quite grim. Lot of positivity.
This can be something that turns out great, but let's be realistic here. Let's be honest here. The time is ticking. The clock is ticking. There's moves to be made here.
Yeah, it should, and next season they must happen.
I don't know what we're gonna do because the team literally has no trade value and they have no cap space. They're in the luxury tax, so whatever they do, it's going to have to be big. And like I said, it might be hard for some people to accept, but at this stage, trade LeBron when he still has value, so that you can look to the future.
Otherwise, you get something like Blake Griffin at the Pistons.
Yeah, where he has still one good season left and now no trade value.
No trade value.
Or Kevin Love.
Where
the guys are literally sitting making $40 million a year. They're not even playing. They're struggling with injuries. And
that's that.
And the GM just has to accept his fate.
Yeah, that's all. But guys, thanks for watching. Leave something in the comments. Let us know what you think about this trade. Let us know what your opinion is on the future. We're not talking about now and what's going to happen this season. We're talking about the future.
Yeah, looking in 5 years.
5 years time, 3 years time maybe. Let us know. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, remember to like and subscribe. Check out our Spotify. Remember to check out TikTok and our Twitter.
Yeah.
And as always, I don't know.
Cheers.
Enjoy.